GM everyone, how are you doing? How is the breakfast? Is it tasty? All good? So, a little bit of attention. Hope the food was good. Today we're going to discuss basically in this beautiful museum of the future, we're going to discuss what is the future for DeFi. And here we have basically the beautiful and trendy projects who bring in this future to DeFi. And guys, please introduce yourself. And one more thing, please share one fun fact about yourself or someone that nobody knows, so everyone will know and nobody will share in the future. So go ahead, Kashish.
Yeah, hi everyone. Yeah, my name is Kritesh and I'm the co-founder of the, you can say like Xfair blockchain network. Xfair blockchain network, that's actually the network where we are just putting dual chain architectures and all. Yeah, here we are just going to come about the DeFi, how we are going to solve this problem through our layers. Yeah, definitely if we are going for this DeFi, we need to just figure it out, like how exactly, like proof and the trust and all those things. So for that purpose, we are just, sharing our dual chain architectures, like POW, which we are using in our chain so that people can just get that trust and the decentralization part. Yeah, and rather than that, like if we are just coming about the privacy and all, so we are just providing the zero knowledge proof so that, okay, people are not considered about to provide your credentials and all. They can just directly just use this technology and just show us, okay, what they are, so that they can just use, feel free, borderless and all those things, anywhere in the globes, use our device services and all in our layers. So
Okay,
that's it.
yeah, very good. And one fun fact about you.
Yeah, fun fact, like, yeah, of course, means I would like to just love with the blockchain networks, and I would like to just provide network as easy as possible to the global users, rather than, okay, because right now...
It's not one fact.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
but
it,
still.
that's it.
All right, thanks a lot, Sharon.
Thank you.
Andrew, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Andre, CMO at StoneFi. StoneFi is the largest DEX on the Ton blockchain. So probably that's it for the intro. Fun fact, I don't know, you caught me,
please.
so I'll tell you later. Some really fun fact.
All right, exciting. You make us curious. Abdul, please, the floor is yours.
Hey guys, good to meet you. I'm Abdul. I'm the head of DeFi at Monad. And at Monad, we're building a high-performance EVM Layer 1 blockchain that does 10,000 transactions per second with half-second block times and single-slot finality. And fun fact about me is I've been in DeFi since before it was called DeFi. I don't know how many of you guys were around in the 2017 cycle, but initially it was called Open Finance. But yeah, I think the rebrand to DeFi was great.
Yeah, Vigo, yeah, please.
Hi everyone, this is Wigo. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Tonix. We are the venture studio based in Asia, starting our Ton journey since 2021. And we provide different kind of developer tools, including multi-sig wallet, API, and right now we are very focusing on the liquid staking protocol. And the fun fact about us is we've been in the industry for 12 years. So
whoa.
we encounter different cycles, and Telegram really exciting the most to us.
All right, guys, who wants to know when the bull market starts? Raise your hands. Okay, so it will happen like randomly right now. So if you will be quiet and listen the panel, we might share some insight with you. So let's go ahead. I want to basically ask the question for you, Kritosh. Tell me, please, you're building this modular layer, and do you think, and basically what is on-chain identity? How does it differ from the general KYC in wallets, and why it will be bridging basically Web2 users to Web3 users? What is your general vision on that?
Yeah, of course. Like if we are just going for the on-chain identity, yeah, you can say like it's provide the, you can say, privacy, and rather than that, people just go on through the KYC compliance and all those things. It provides a lot of services. If I'm saying about like DeFi sites, right now, if you are just going for the, any loan or anything, probably you need to just do the over collateralizations. Probably, like if you are just going to take $150 loans, then you need to just, provide collateralization like $200, something like that. But again, if we are just, use on-chain services and all, rather than providing this against collateralization, probably they will just check, wallet history. Whatever the amount you are having in the wallet history, probably they can using that one. They can need not to just provide this collateral, and they can use this loan at all. Rather than that, suppose if you are just good in DeFi and just using other chains in the DeFi loanings and all those things, so you just created the user profile. So if you are suppose coming on the other chain, so you need not to go and just go on for the collaterals and all. They will just check your DeFi profile, how good you are in other chains. Based on that one, they can just provide the loans and other parts. So these are the, I think, the basic things through the on-chain identity we are able to solve in this, in the DeFi worlds.
Yeah. Okay, thanks a lot for sharing.
Yeah.
Andrew, so StoneFi is basically the leading DEX on the Ton blockchain. And what basically the design decision that you've made on Ton, which is different on Ethereum, that makes you successful on Ton?
Okay. So the main thing is that when we say Ton, we mean Telegram quite often. When we say Telegram, we mean Ton, so it works both ways. And in Ethereum, all these dApps, they exist like in separate environments. But in Telegram/Ton, it's different. So it's the whole ecosystem. And it means that one of the core aspects of our strategy is to utilize these opportunities. So we have Telegram user base, and we can build apps right inside Telegram, and these apps can use Ton. So I would say there are two directions over here. The first one is the Telegram mini apps. So we have our own mini apps and also other applications which exist on Telegram. They use our product, so they integrate our SDKs, our APIs, and so on to enable, let's say, swaps right inside their applications. So this is the first thing. And the second thing is promotion, because as you know, on traditional Web2 platforms, channels, and so on, crypto advertising is complicated. On Telegram, it is easier, and it means that we can promote our products, or crypto products on Telegram, and we can onboard users right inside Telegram, so they don't leave the application they use every day. So they stay on their favorite application. They can use our product right inside. We can promote it right inside this app. And in the end, it means like better conversion rates, lower acquisition costs, better retention, and so on. And of course, these are benefits for us, but also these are the things which are possible on Ton and on Telegram, and most likely, maybe they are possible on Ethereum, but they are more complicated. So probably that's the main thing.
Yeah, right. Guys, how many users already know StoneFi and did at least one swap on Ton with StoneFi? Beautiful, great. So the next question is to Monad. So Abdul, congrats on your testnet. So you did a really huge improvement in terms of the scalability, and please share maybe what kind of DeFi products you are basically enable to the trend and to the basically DeFi right now, so we will head to the mass adoption. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think if you look at the products that have found PMF in DeFi, and this is since 2020, since DeFi summer, a lot of those products were initially built on ETH mainnet. And when you're building on ETH mainnet, there's a very limited design space that you have, because there's a few constraints that you have to keep in mind where you're building out the product. First part being, hey, is this product too gas intensive? Are my users going to be spending a lot of gas in doing this? And then the second part is, you would ideally build a passive DeFi product versus an active DeFi product. And what I mean by that is, you would want to build out a product where you LP into an AMM because you don't want people to be, like market makers, to be updating liquidity all the time because otherwise it's too expensive to do it. It costs a lot of gas. And B, the chain cannot support a lot of TPS. So what you end up doing is you end up minimizing the number of actions that users have to make. And that's a version of passive DeFi. And when you look at Monad and what Monad enables, so Monad provides 1,000x more throughput than Ethereum, maintains the entire compatibility of the EVM, and then 99% cheaper gas fees. So a good framework to think about it is if the design space on Monad is this size, then the design space on Monad is this big, right? And when we talk to developers and builders within the DeFi space, what we eventually end up chatting about is, oh, you want to build a cool product, you want to onboard a lot of users, there's a lot of constraints that you have to think about when you're building on other EVM chains. So let's remove those constraints and then think about what you can enable. And then you end up having some really productive conversations with people that are building on the original ethos and the original vision for DeFi or open finance as it was called back in the day. So things like payments, ticketing, e-commerce, order books on-chain. Like not a lot of people know that the original OG DEXs were actually not AMMs and order books, right? Ether Delta existed in like 2017, 18. There was an order book, but nobody used it because obviously gas was so expensive, TPS was low. So I'd say those are the kind of primitives that we're seeing on the Monad blockchain. We have a few teams that are building out order books. We have a few other teams that are building out things that require more active participation in DeFi. And that is really the kind of future that we want to enable. We want people to be playing in DeFi actively versus only being passive.
Thanks a lot. So, Vigo, so you are basically building in the space and trying to bring the DeFi into the social fi. And the question to you is how you are basically balancing this virality with the financial security. Virality with the financial security, yeah.
Well, that's a good question. If you talk about the financial security,
Yeah.
I would say, looking back in the last cycle, when people are talking about DeFi, people are criticizing whether you are purely DeFi or you are partially decentralized design. But fast forward today, looking at this cycle, one of the most successful projects in DeFi ecosystem called Athena, when they just appeared, everyone was criticizing them because they are kind of like the CDFI model, utilizing the custodial services. But nowadays, people somehow accept it. So there are multiple ways in the traditional finance industry. They have mature system to secure the financial security. And the beauty of Telegram is you can easily just distribute this kind of financial services to any single individual across the globe instantly. And also the most important thing is take a look at the success of WeChat, right? For WeChat ecosystem started to grow drastically because WeChat Pay. And once WeChat Pay was there, people somehow have the chance and access to pay and to purchase and to create some financial, to create some economic activities on top of this kind of huge, I would say, digital population. And so does Telegram. So we are excited to see more and more, not just DeFi building on Ton and Telegram, but also just kind of like building Legos. If you can ship your products with lower cost, faster, make people more feel convenient, then that will work.
Thanks a lot. So now you are familiar with the project that are presenting on the panel, and we are on the Museum of the Future, and I want us to basically maybe think about what the future DeFi is. But before we're coming to the future of DeFi, I want to ask you the question about basically the previous one, which is DeFi Summer 2021. And many people saying that the true DeFi is dead. What is your opinion on that? What is true DeFi for you, and is it dead or not?
Can you just repeat it again, question?
Yes, so there was a DeFi Summer 2020, and people saying that the OG DeFi is dead. And basically, do you think it's dead or not, and what is that? You don't need to not answer. If you don't want, maybe you guys have your opinion on that. Tell me, what is the real one?
I can take that.
Yeah, go ahead.
So again, two aspects over here. So these are the things I'm struggling with. The first one, quite often, I have a feeling that we build these products for ourselves, meaning not for the users, but for ourselves, like builders, infra, applications that use infra and so on. Quite often, we forget about the users. So that's the problem. So we should always think about user needs and users' needs. And that's quite often what I see, probably because this industry is very technical. Quite often, technical guys, they forget about the users because they want to build the best product ever. But by the best product ever, they think technology. And I'm a marketer, so when I think the best product, I'm thinking about the most valuable product. I mean, valuable for a user. So people should want that, and quite often I believe that in DeFi sphere we have a lack of that. And the second thing is control. So DeFi and all the decentralized stuff, and if we remember, early days of Bitcoin and so on, it was about decentralized and controlling what you have. So that's the point. Quite often right now, so there are some products that they say that they are DeFi products, but in reality, they are not, because users do not control, let's say, their assets or something like that. And so it's one of the, these are the aspects that I do not like. And when I'm thinking about the future or about the bright future, I'm thinking about control and making what people need.
Yeah, I think, first of all, I have really fond memories of the DeFi summer of 2020. Some of my favorite protocols came out of that era. Shout out 1inch being one of those protocols that came right after DeFi summer. And just using like a weight training analogy to kind of explain how I think DeFi grows in cycles. So for anybody that goes to a gym and tries to put on muscle, what you usually do is there's two cycles. You go through bulking and then you go through cutting. And what that means is during the bulking period, you eat a lot, you train a lot, you gain a lot of muscle, but then you also gain a lot of fat. And then eventually you're like, oh, I need to get rid of the fat and only keep the muscle, which is a similar cycle that plays out in DeFi, where every cycle you have new protocols coming in. Some of those protocols end up becoming sticky, providing long-term utility to the space, and then some of them are not going to make it, which is fine because DeFi, at its core, is an experiment with the future of finance, right? Some of those things are going to work, some of them are not. And even if you look at 2020, the reason why I have so much respect for a lot of the OG teams is because a lot of the teams from 2020 are still building, right? And they're launching new products. Like 1inch is launching new products every few months, right? And you have the likes of Uniswap, Compound, Aave, Yearn, 1inch, like all these protocols born out of 2020 that you still see iterating out there and being the flag bearers of DeFi to this very day. And then you see similar cycles playing out after every 1 or 2 years, where you have, like just to give an example, you had the SocialFi meta in 2023 with Friend Tech launching. We had 40 plus forks launch on different chains, but eventually the model itself was not sticky, and that is something that just kind of faded out in DeFi. So I think if you look at the future of DeFi, we'll go through similar cycles where every cycle you have new innovative products come out, but then the ones with long-term utility will stay around, and the ones that are not long-term, they will basically fade away. Over time, people might iterate on the product mechanism to make them more sticky, but that's the name of the game, and I think it's good to keep experimenting and creating new primitives within DeFi.
I think DeFi from two different perspective point of view, like for the users, if they just want to speculate, I would say DeFi is kind of over, because back in 2020, a lot of friends of ours, they're kind of like printing money because DeFi surged. But fast forward today, for the users, there are two parts. One is the infrastructure part, because there are a lot of DeFi use cases in a lot of circumstances they can deliver and perform better than traditional finance. So the infrastructure is already there. But for the user point of view, if they want some financial sovereignty, it's the first time in the history people can choose whether they want to control their own asset. They can take this in their pocket and they can bring this everywhere without any kind of censorship. So that's my point of view.
Yeah, thanks a lot. So, guys, raise your hand if you still that the DeFi is dead. Okay. Who wants to contribute to the growth of DeFi? Oh, come on! Yeah. Okay, right. So, yeah, you want to add something?
Yeah, let me add something.
Please.
Yeah,
Yes.
here, as I mentioned, like DeFi here, if you just go on like decentralized. So decentralized here refers to like anybody who is globally anywhere can use the finance. So right now, if you just go on, most of the institutional and the whatever the applications right now in the DeFi sites having the somehow UX and UI is not very much comfortable for the normal users, so that they cannot use it. So it's good for the institutional purpose, but it's not good for the normal users. So we need to just somehow we need to just check out like how we can just make it user friendly, so that it's not like that any users who doesn't know about the wallet and the transactions and all those things, he can also you can say use it. Rather than that, like again infrastructure part, as I mentioned, like again like interoperability and the privacy is the other parts. Like if suppose it DeFi apps in one chain, so that user can easily transfer their assets from here to there without any problem. Of course, privacy is the other issues which we need to solve. So most of the ZK related things are coming in the pictures, and we are just trying to just mix that one so that people doesn't come and just show their credentials and all, and they can use these services and all. Yeah, that's only the basic issues right now which we are just facing in the DeFi sites. Yeah, of course, most of the institutional coming only for the making monies and all those things, but 80% populations who is in global, even they don't know how to use the DeFi applications. So I feel like first step to be just more UI user friendly DeFi app, so that okay anybody can just use it without using a wallet, or even if it's using a wallet, they cannot do much trouble to just access those services. That's
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah.
Guys, I want to think about very tricky, spicy questions to the audience. But before that, again, I really want you to think about the future. And, we are still a very young industry. And I started when it was just 1%. Now it's almost 10%. Recently, I've checked, and we have 500 million of users, or it's actually 500 million of users on chain right now in the industry. So we need to double this. And what basically makes us to double this? And I believe when we are working in the industry, there are some core principles plus technicalities that can help us. For example, on 1inch, the core principles of our team is to innovate, to optimize, and to basically keep the quality. Maybe we can brainstorm on one human, personal philosophy aspect plus one technical thing that will keep DeFi alive for the 10 basically years ahead. Let's think about, and then we will get the questions from the audience. One personal, human aspect, something like the appeal is really keeps us here, and will bring even more like DeFi adopters to the market. And the second is for sure technical, maybe something that we are missing here. Yeah, who wants to start?
Yeah, so if you say about this part, like I feel like in the DeFi, if it comes, so mostly people just think like, okay, I would like to suppose in case of in a developing countries or anywhere, they would like to use these DeFi services and all. What exactly happened? They don't have it, their KYC and all those things. In case suppose we can just provide some on-chain identity things where they can just figure it out like this person having this much balance on their wallets, and using that one they can just use those services even in the lending side. Okay, any farmer if he would like to take the loan, he can just show us their on-chain identity and take the loan. I think that's a basic use case, correct? Even the persons who is just celebrating in their own events and all anything, so they can even just mint their NFTs using those things. Even even anybody who is just going through like do the donation charity or anything, Okay, through that one we can just figure it out some DeFi things where they can just use those things applications to do the donate for the for the future use cases and all. So I think that's the basic things which we need to just take care. In case we need to just work on this care, as I mentioned before, we need the better UI and all. Rather than that, like okay, infrastructure which is required like transactions speed and the throughputs and all those things. Yeah, here we are. Why I'm asking this thing? Because we are in the layer one blockchain network, and we just figured it out like these three problems. Probably most of the layer one chain is right now facing. Like if you say about the scalability, security, and the decentralization, and we just figured it out. How do we solve this problem? Of course, in case of DeFi, we need to just take care about the security part and and the decentralized part. So we are just coming with the dual chain architecture things. On there, we are coming with the main layer and the proof layer. So on there, actually, if you come on the Ethereum part, some pros is there, some cons is there. In case of even in the Bitcoin network, some pros in there, cons in there. So we just take it the pros part. In case of Bitcoin network, if you just go, they are just using the POW mechanism. So POW mechanism actually is too much secure, but if you just go on, about the transaction speed and all, probably you will not find those things. So we just take out that one, the POW, and then if you come on the Ethereum side, probably it's a good, but again, it's not that much secure. What I feel like, okay, even if the transaction speed is good or decentralized part is this, so we just take off the XPBFT mechanism so that we can just go get the transaction speed. So in the main chain, we are just using, providing the users to the transaction speed through the XPBFT mechanism so that user can come and just do the transactions very fast. But if we Okay. So that's in the second chain is the proof chain where we are using a POW so that people can no worries about the transaction and the security. Thank you.
I wish my grandma one day will just have this user experience where just, hey, Sash, I have a new coin here.
Thank you.
Guys,
Thank you.
please, what's your thoughts on one human and one technical aspect that keeps DeFi alive? What do you think? Yeah.
So I think my hot take here would be DeFi does not have 500 million users. The actual number is probably less than 1% of that. And I say that after looking at all the on-chain data. There's a lot of Sybil wallets in DeFi, or AI agents, if you want to call them. But yeah, I think the first step to onboarding a lot of people to DeFi is recognizing where we stand today and recognizing the path forward. The path forward is definitely onboarding a lot of speculators, which is something we've done over the past year with Pump.Fun. But if you actually go to a Dune dashboard for Pump.Fun, you'll see that 70 to 80% of all users churn and they never come back. So they have a lot of new users coming in every day, but returning users, that number is actually pretty small. And then the question is this a tool that will onboard the next 100 million people to crypto? The answer may be yes, but will those users stick around? And the answer is no, right? And I think what we need to work on is building really intuitive DeFi front ends. So I think, like, just to give an example, 1inch is a really good example for that, right? Because you guys have a front end that makes it extremely easy to aggregate liquidity across different DEXs, across different chains, simplifying complex DeFi problems. And then eventually the goal that we should strive for is, hey, can I onboard my 80-year-old mom to DeFi? And the answer is no right now, right? And we need to onboard all those people. That is the original vision for DeFi, right? And that means we need to make a lot of improvements on the UX. We need to abstract all the ugly parts of crypto away, and that is the only way that we will be onboarding hundreds of millions of people to DeFi in a long-term sustainable manner.
The technical part, I think technology is there, obviously, so people can utilize that. And take a look at the fundamental of finance. It's basically trust. So look at one of the first fintech company called PayPal. Their name, you separate that is pay your friend, PayPal. And WeChat Play is the same thing. During the Chinese New Year, they organized an red envelope event. And during that period of time, only 2 months, they gathered more than 200 million users just in 2 months. Because people in festival, they just send friends the red envelope and people would just open it up. Telegram is the same thing. If we can rely on more social features that will incentivize friends to send things to friends, that will have the highest chance to succeed. Take us, for example. this January, we organized the event for people, for users to collect different kind of cards. Like if you collect 8 cards, different cards, you can get a chance to win TGBTC. And if you miss 1 or 2 cards, you can exchange with your friends. And we just took 4 weeks. We gathered in total 120K users collecting cards. And they are all on trend right now. Most of them, they never touched crypto before. So I think social features, how to incentivize your friends to kind of like, to create that kind of circle, that will win the race.
Thanks a lot. Andrew, do you want to add something?
I think that in terms of technical stuff, I'm not competent enough to speak about the future tech.
Right.
But what I know for sure is that we can't say no what will happen in a couple of years, in 5 years or 10 years, because we've seen that with AI. All the tech is evolving so rapidly. So I just don't know, but I know that it'll be different. And as for all the other aspects, I will be repeating myself. We just need to think about the user's needs, and probably that's the most important thing.
Thanks a lot. Guys, we don't have time for question. I believe you can ask individual after, but remember, I told you that we give you the answer when the bull market starts. And the answer is that let's just not wait when the bull market starts. Let's make the mass adoption happen. And I'm always sharing this with everyone. Today, you as the person who can make this mass adoption happen. How? Go outside, find one person, find your friend, and educate on how to DeFi. Show beautiful mobile wallet. Go to TonX, try the incentives. Show them the beauty of the Monad, StoneFi. Show them how to do the identity and KYC. Go to 1inch and swap in the best rates, by the way. This is the way how we make the mass adoption happen, and we don't need to wait the bull market anymore. Thanks a lot for listening us, and yeah, let's go ahead, guys. Thanks a lot for the panelists. Thank you.